What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, the last upload on the series of increasing testosterone. So, in this upload, I'll cover some protocols for helping with increasing testosterone. Okay, so here we go. First protocol you can follow is obtaining red light. Okay, so red light is these panels, okay, that basically contain bulbs, and they produce infrared light, to the best of my knowledge, and they help with recovery as well as increasing testosterone. Some will even go as far as recommending, getting exposure to the light while being completely naked. Okay, now, to be very transparent on this, the evidence around it is very anecdotal, meaning that it is personal and varies from person to person. The studies I've reviewed over the years, some show results, others don't. So it's one of those things that you're gonna have to check out for yourself and see if it works for you or not. Most athletes that I've seen online in terms of doing recovery work seem to be comfortable using it. And you know what I think is going on is that a lot of people possibly buy it thinking that they're gonna get these, big results and quick changes. But the red light is gonna be like anything else you use, like taking a vitamin D pill, for example, where it helps, by introducing a micro improvement. But in the grand scale of things, when you combine it with other micro improvements, it helps a lot. So just something to keep in mind, that the results may vary with this one, but there is some evidence that it helps with recovery and increasing testosterone levels. And the reason you do it naked is the idea of exposing your testes to the red light, which helps with testosterone synthesis. There's also a concept of sunning your balls, which is basically going out tanning completely naked under the sun and exposing your balls to the sun. But your guess is as good as mine as to whether it works or not. I've used it before, but not for long enough, and I'm talking about the red light here, but not long enough really to notice that great of a difference. There probably has been some improvements, but like I said, a lot of these things you can't look at them independently. You have to look at them holistically as part of a, bigger picture kind of thing. All right. Next is gonna be taking exogenous compounds like peptides or steroids, which I do not recommend. Okay. I haven't done any of them myself, but I read up on them, and I actually know a few people that have taken one or the other. So for peptides, the one that's most popular that I keep hearing about, and I know people that took it personally, is BPC 157. I think it's BPC, okay, and or BP 157. And that peptide is used mainly for recovery, but it also helps with increasing testosterone, okay. And again, I know people that took them and they've seen magnificent results. I knew one person in particular that had, who was on TRT also, and had a major shoulder injury and couldn't move his shoulder at all. And after 11 days of treatment with BPC 157, his shoulder was back to normal. Now, the one thing I will caution about is, and recommend when going the peptide route, is recognizing that these are experimental compounds. Okay, they're not meant for human consumption, and they're not approved by any health authority like the FDA. And these are brand new compounds. They haven't necessarily been around for a very long time, so no one has studied them long enough to know what the side effects are. So something to be cognizant about. It's mind-boggling to me that people are out there injecting themselves with laboratory compounds used on mice and rats for experimental purposes. But it seems that they do help. And if you are, in a position where you really need all the help and you've reached the end of your ropes, I can see why people would risk it, okay? But to do it just for cosmetic reasons, or even just increase your testosterone levels when yours naturally aren't that bad, it's just stupid, if I'm being honest. But I put it here just in case someone, you know, thinks they can benefit off of it. And apparently there's some of these peptides now you can get through your doctor. So you don't actually even have to get some of that experimental stuff. But something to keep in mind. The other aspect of this, which is more studied and proven, is TRT, and basically testosterone replacement therapy. And the one thing you need to be careful about when you consider TRT is, one, having addressed all of your root causes that may be causing your testosterone to plummet, like diet, bad sleep, high stress life, high cortisol levels. So address all of these before you consider jumping on any sort of steroid or testosterone, okay? Because once you go down that route, you're completely dependent on it, okay? And if you actually do it, you want to consider, while being on TRT, taking human chronic gonadotropin, HCG, which is basically a hormone that's created during pregnancy. But a lot of the professional bodybuilders will take HCG as part of their post-cycle treatment to get their testicles active again and producing testosterone naturally. So what I've seen online recently, even here on YouTube, is that a lot of people now that do TRT will actually include HCG with TRT, so they don't completely shut off their testosterone axis in their testes and not be able to produce natural testosterone. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind when you do consider taking TRT is that you want to simulate the natural endocrine sort of production of testosterone. And it happens in a pulsing like manner, and basically your body produces testosterone every 72 hours, every 3 days, approximately. Again, this is bro talk here. If you want to get deeper into the science, you can do your own research. But the reason I bring this up is that a lot of the time when you go to TRT clinics, or even with your family physician or endocrinologist, my understanding is that they will recommend an injection once a week, or an injection every 2 to 3 weeks, or even once a month, which doesn't actually simulate how your body naturally produces testosterone, and then exposes you to more side effects in terms of the problems that come with taking exogenous steroids or testosterone. So that covers peptide and testosterone. Next, we're gonna look at sleep, okay? Possibly one of the biggest things that will fix a lot for you in your life is getting good night's sleep. Now, being a chronic insomniac myself and rarely getting good sleep, and every now and then getting a really good night's sleep, I can attest to the miracle work of a good night's sleep, okay? Everything gets better. Your mood is better, your erections are stronger, you're stronger at the gym, you're happier, you're smarter, you have more energy. And this is why I recommend anytime before you take any exogenous compounds, understand the root cause behind why you have low testosterone in the first place. Sleep is one of the biggest ones out there, and it's one of the things that I highly, highly recommend you fix first. I know for me it's a struggle. One of the things you want to do with sleep is ensure that you don't consume a lot of caffeine, somewhere between 14 to 16 hours before going to bed, especially if you're as sensitive as I am to caffeine. It literally will mess your sleep up, okay? The other thing is making sure that your room is completely blacked out, so it's completely dark. I recommend getting blackout curtains as well as a sleeping mask, all right? making sure that your room temperature is not cold but cool, okay? Because for you to fall asleep, your body temperature needs to go down, and for you to wake up, your body temperature needs to rise. So make sure that your bedroom is cool. And again, I don't remember the exact temperature that supposedly we're supposed to go down to fall asleep, but I find I tried that, it didn't really work for me. I find for me it varies. Some nights I'll need my room to be a bit warmer, others cooler. So figure out the sweet spot for you in terms of temperature in order to fall asleep and maintain being asleep. And last but not least, make sure that you get adequate exposure to natural sunlight, and towards the end of the day, reduce your exposure to any synthetic lights, all right? And especially any light coming from screens like laptops or cell phones. All right, next, we're gonna talk about increasing testosterone by having more sex, okay? So, yes, having more sex increases testosterone. However, this works when you have more sex with different partners, not with the same partner, okay? And this, it does work. I can speak from experience. So, yeah, if you're a single guy, that's great. If you're in a committed relationship, like having a girlfriend or married, tough luck. And if you want to look this up, it's called the Coolidge effect, all right? And the story goes this way. President Coolidge of the US and his wife one day were walking through a farm, and they saw a rooster feverishly chasing after a hen. So President Coolidge's wife looks at the farmer and tells him, can you please let President Coolidge know that this is how a male acts around a female, okay? And she's basically insinuating, by the way, I'm rephrasing here, it's not the exact story word by word, but she's basically insinuating that the sex life with President Coolidge is non-existent. So President Coolidge pauses for a second, and then he looks at the farmer and he asks, is he this feverish with the same hen? And the farmer, every time, and the farmer looks at him and says, no, it's a different hen every time. And the idea is that men, we are built to spread our seed, okay? And our bodies actually help us in doing that. So if you have access to different women, what your body is going to do is it's going to increase your testosterone production levels, okay, in order to help you to meet with the demanding task and exhausting task of you pretty much inseminating all of these women, right, to get them pregnant. And it's the same thing, actually, you see it with bulls. So basically, when they take bulls to farms in order to inseminate the cows, they basically, the best bulls are the bulls that are able to constantly go from one cow to the other. And they found out also in studies that aside from the fact that the bulls that last the longest in terms of inseminating different cows, tend to have high testosterone levels, their testosterone levels increase even more during the process, okay? And it's basically this environmental impact preparing you as an organism, as a male, to meet the demands of the task before you. So this one, it's a fun one. It's an easy one if you have access to different mates or women, really. If you don't, I mean, tough one there. But yeah, and I mean, it does help increase testosterone, but it creates a different set of problems. For the guys that have been out there with different women, you understand what I'm talking about. So you got to kind of weigh the cost and benefit here in terms of, do you want high testosterone or do you want all the drama and the headache in your life, which will eventually plummet your testosterone level. So yeah. All right, next, let's get moving on. Next, we want to cover upregulation of your testosterone receptors. Okay, so there's two ways I know for sure. Well, basically, let me explain first what upregulation is. So, upregulating your testosterone receptors means that you either one, increase your testosterone receptors across your body on a cellular level, or two, increase the activity of these receptors, meaning that they are more susceptible to binding with testosterone to use the testosterone that's free in your blood. All right. Now, how well you can upregulate your testosterone levels is pretty much genetically predetermined. Okay, so your DNA determines how many receptors you can have, how many of them can be active, and for how long. All right, but there's two ways that there's multiple ways that you can upregulate your testosterone receptors. One is by, believe it or not, taking something like Cialis. So there has been evidence that taking Cialis helps with upregulating testosterone receptors. Again, I haven't seen a lot of studies, I've only seen a couple, so there's still more research to be done on that, but there's promising evidence around that. So basically, when you take Cialis, it increases the activity of your testosterone receptors and possibly numbers, which means that your produced testosterone has a place to bind to and for your body to use. So that's one way. The other way is you can upregulate your testosterone receptors by increasing dopamine. Okay. Now, what's interesting is that when your dopamine goes up, so does your testosterone. So it's not surprising that increasing dopamine will help with testosterone upregulation. An easy way to do that is to get a velvet bean supplement. So basically, it's like a kidney bean kind of a bean. They turn it into a powder, and the active compound in it is L-DOPA. So L-DOPA gets synthesized by your body into dopamine, pretty much. It's a dopamine precursor, and it is natural. So you can take that to help with upregulating testosterone by increasing dopamine. Other ways to increase dopamine is basically other activities like lifting weights will increase dopamine as well as testosterone. Having more sex will increase dopamine, okay? Or pursuing sex, to be more precise. Or a mate. Doesn't really have to be sex in this case. But these are two ways to increase dopamine. Another way to upregulate your testosterone receptors by reducing cortisol levels. Now, cortisol is your hormone that's produced in response to stress. In short periods of time, it's fine and your body does need it. And actually, in short periods of time, small amounts of cortisol do raise testosterone. However, chronic or prolonged production of cortisol ends up crashing testosterone. So you want to reduce cortisol as much as you can, okay? And there's a few ways to do that. One, reduce the stress in your life if possible. Two, reduce the amount of sugar and simple carbs you're consuming because they do elevate cortisol. And the one way to monitor that is that for most guys, I mean, I say for most, but depending on your genetics, okay, you store fat as a result of cortisol in your lower abdomen, okay, and then like in your thighs to a certain extent and buttocks. So one way to monitor your cortisol level other than losing weight really is how much of a fat you have accumulated on your lower abdomen area. All right, so that's one way to monitor that also visually. And what's the word I'm looking for? My brain is not working. Just by touch, okay? Dexterally, I guess. Okay, so yeah, and that will help there in terms of upregulation of testosterone. And I think, yeah, one last one is in terms of upregulating testosterone and increasing testosterone for protocols wise, cold exposure and heat exposure. So cold exposure, think in terms of cold exposure bath. Heat exposure, think in terms of a sauna. Ideally, you want to do a switch between both in the span of, let's say, 10 minutes. Some people do it longer. I don't recommend. unless you just like torturing yourself, but 10 minutes should be sufficient. And what that will do is it will make your body produce sort of good stress chemicals to help you cope, and that will include testosterone as well as shock proteins, okay, that helps your body adapt with these quick harsh changes in terms of temperature. All right, so I think that will be it in terms of the protocols I'm sharing with you guys that will help with increasing testosterone. Now, there's a ton of stuff you can do to help with increasing testosterone levels, but these are some of the ones I'm aware of. Some of these I've used, some of these I knew people that I've used and worked for them. Others I pretty much just read about or watched a video about them. So the good news is these are accessible to everybody. Again, just make sure that you're on these by your healthcare practitioner, general practitioner, physician, or whoever is helping you out with your journey when it comes to increasing testosterone, just to make sure that if you have any pre-existing conditions or predispositions to any issues, that these are tackled and addressed before you partake on any of these activities. All right. With that said, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. As per usual, very much appreciate your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.